We all know that as entrepreneurs, we can very quickly become the bottleneck of the growth of our business. And if we want to make sure that we don't do that, we obviously have to continue to grow as entrepreneurs. What does that look like? Well, in layman terms, we typically have to continue to learn new skills. And today we're going to dive into, honestly, one of the biggest pitfalls of entrepreneurs when it comes time to learn new skills. What are some of the things that we need to stay away from, and also the things that we need to do? And far more importantly, the mindset we need to maintain to make sure that we not just acquire a skill, but we acquire it as fast as possible and do so with as few mistakes as possible. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to continue to grow your business and you're trying to continue to learn new skills, you're going to want to listen on in, because today we have some wildly helpful information for you. Okay, so before we dive into the actual lesson, let's start off with a hypothetical scenario. Okay, let's assume that you are a mom or dad of a young boy who's learning how to play baseball. And, young boy, his name's going to be Johnny for this situation. And Johnny goes on up to the plate for his first ever baseball game. He's, I don't call it 7 or 8 years old. He goes on up to the plate. He has literally never swung a bat before. Okay, I mean, he watched a couple videos on YouTube, of course, and you told him a little bit more about how to swing that bat, but he personally has never swung the bat. And so, he goes on up to the plate. And firstly, let me just pause. Let's ask ourselves, do we think that little Johnny is going to hit a home run? No. But quite honestly, I would imagine if you're a right-minded, logical human being, you're going to expect little Johnny to strike out miserably. He's probably going to look a little awkward. He's probably going to have a real rough form in his swing, and he's probably not even going to come close to making contact with the ball. And quite honestly, if he even made contact with the ball, like a foul ball, we'd probably be pumped. It's like, hey, maybe there's some promise in little Johnny, right? Okay, but let's carry on. Okay, so Johnny goes on up and he gets to the batter's box and he tries to swing a couple times and he fails miserably. Okay, and he drags his bat on back to the dugout. He is just bummed, right? He's moping and he's complaining. And firstly, let's stop again. Are you surprised? Are you surprised he struck out? Absolutely not. Okay, you expected it, but Johnny wasn't. Johnny was expecting a home run. Okay. There's an interesting point that's going to happen right here, okay? Because when Johnny looks at you, if Johnny said, "Mom, Dad, baseball doesn't work." What? Like, we can't even comprehend the thought of Johnny saying baseball doesn't work. No. At most, Johnny would say, "I suck at baseball and I'm never playing the game again." Okay, and that very well may be a statement that Johnny will make if his expectations weren't set accordingly, okay? However, at this point, you're going to need to coach and encourage Johnny on, hey, that was just your first at bat, right? Like we typically are all pretty bad at things when we first start. And so you need to get back up there. You need to keep a positive attitude. We're going to continue to, take you back to batting practice. You're going to get better at this, Johnny, right? And I would imagine you as a caring parent or a coach in this example would continue to encourage Johnny to get better and better and better. And you're not going to let him just give up on his dreams, right? However, if he, came to you and said, "Hey, Mom, Dad, that was really frustrating. I didn't get on base, but, I really want to, I want to continue to get better. Obviously, it's okay if I struck out because that was my first ever time at bat, and I'm really excited to continue to get better at this, Mom and Dad, because, I'm focused on becoming the best baseball player I can, and I know it's going to take me a while." I think, honestly, pause scenario here. You as a parent would be like elated because you're like, well, yeah, what a wise young boy you are, Johnny. That's something that most adults don't even think about, right? So what a healthy perspective that second one is. But what an unhealthy perspective, and honestly, like illogical perspective, the first scenario would be if, Johnny was like, baseball doesn't work, right? Okay. Why are we talking about little Johnny today? Okay. Well, ultimately, guys, I think this is pretty simple. There's a lot that we can learn as entrepreneurs from that Johnny scenario. Okay. Well, firstly, for starters, we as entrepreneurs, if we want to continue to grow, we know that we need to learn new skills. That said, in learning a new skill, we have to make sure we have a very healthy, very positive expectation going into a new skill. See, we know how illogical it is in any other situation for any human being to go and try a new skill for the first time ever and be good at it. We know that the probability of that happening is slim to none. Typically, when we learn a new skill as a human being in general, not even just an entrepreneur, usually when we first step up to bat, when we first try that new activity, we're going to be really bad at it. We're going to suck, quite honestly. And that's okay because that's as expected. When we learn a new skill, we should expect to actually be really bad at it first because that's a part of learning a new skill. That's a part of learning knowledge and getting better. Okay. So we actually, when we say, hey, we want to learn sales today, or we want to learn to become a better marketer, or we want to learn to become a better leader, or we want to learn to become, better at hiring, we should expect to be bad. We should expect to make really dumb decisions and be awkward and for it to be hard and for it not to come easy and for the results to be, a lack thereof. Okay? It would be unhealthy for us to go and say, yeah, we're going to try this new Facebook ad, or we're going to go try, taking this sales call, or maybe, try selling in a one-to-many environment, or hey, we're going to try to, hire a couple new people for our first ever coaching staff. It would be a bad idea to go into that and say, yeah, first time ever doing it, but honestly, I'm really expecting this is going to be a huge success. Okay. That would be illogical. However, how many times has that happened to you recently? I myself, I'll say, preaching to the choir on this one, okay? I have definitely gone into new skills, whether it be, learning ads or making hires or, launching a new funnel, maybe writing a new sales page where I come up with this new offer. I'm like, yeah, this offer is going to be great. And it's absolute crickets, right? Offer creation, that in and of itself is a skill. So the first thing that I want you to really get from today's episode is that we actually, in learning a new skill, need to first expect to be bad at it. Being bad at a skill is actually step one of becoming good. When taking on a new skill in literally any part of the business, there are usually 3 core phases that we will go through. Phase number 1 is clumsy, okay? So the clumsy phase is the bad phase. That's once again, striking out at bat the first time and not even knowing how to swing that ball or swing that bat properly. In the world of business, clumsy is you go launch your Facebook ads for your first time ever. Boy, are you going to waste some money. Now, I say waste, okay? When I say waste, I mean you're just not going to get money back. What you will be getting back is data. Okay, you will be getting back data. Same thing whenever you go launch a new offer. Even if it's crickets, that is data that the market doesn't care about your offer. Okay, so expect to be clumsy the first time you start to venture into a new skill in your business. Now, after we've been clumsy for a little while and we continue to, step back up to the plate, we continue to try and learn and become better and better and better at this skill, are we going to become an expert? Is expert the next phase? Absolutely not. And you know that when we think about it with our logical brain, after we've been clumsy for a little while, if we don't go straight to being an expert, what we actually become is the next C, which is number 2. This is going to be competent. So you go from clumsy to competent. Now, the competent phase, there's less frustration, right? You're starting to get it. You're starting to understand why you're doing the things you're doing. You're starting to understand some nuances and some of the complexities, and it's starting to become a little bit more comfortable for you. Once again, this is any skill. It doesn't matter if it's sales skills and, closing some deals, or maybe creating new offers, or running Facebook ads, or simply hiring, or literally anything in life, okay? Life or business. The competency is simply familiarity. It's like, hey, I've been here before. I understand this. And sure, you're not an expert, but you can hold your own. You're like, you know what? It might take me a little bit longer to set up these ads. It might take me, a couple extra calls, a couple extra follow-ups to be able to close these high-ticket deals. But, eventually I'm going to get it because I do understand the general process. I understand some of the nuances and complexities here. Am I an expert? By no means. However, I am competent, and that is step 2. Now, before we move on into step 3, we need to understand that step 2 should actually be the first goal that we have going into a new skill. So when we go into a new skill, we actually need to expect to be clumsy first, and our mindset should be, let's just be clumsy and stay in this phase. Let's continue to invest in this new skill and learn this new skill until I'm no longer clumsy and simply become competent. I know it's going to suck and I know I'm going to be bad, but let's at least stay in it long enough and proceed until I'm at very least competent. I think this is honestly one of the biggest mistakes we can possibly make, we as humans, in venturing into any new skill, is that we go into a new skill expecting to be competent before we're even clumsy, okay? It doesn't work like that. We have to first go into the new skill and say, you know what? I'm at least going to stay in this skill for long enough of the clumsy phase until I become competent. And if we have that mindset, we're not going to quit too soon. As compared to, do you by chance know anyone, maybe it's yourself or maybe, someone in a mastermind or a coaching program you've met, where maybe they tried ads one time, their first time, and they didn't make money and they said, ads don't work for me, or, ads don't work for my business, or I got scammed. Did you? Okay, probably not. But we do that. We make an offer. We say, yep, yeah, offer didn't work. Or we, start a new ad and, oh, nope, ads don't work for my business. I can't lose any more money on ads. I need to turn off all ads. Huh? Is that really how that works? No. We got the exact result that we should have expected from the get-go. And then if we continue to step back up to the plate, we're going to inevitably become competent. And competency, I would say that stage 2, that's when you have the luxury to decide whether you want to quit or not. Some people say, this truly isn't for me. Facebook ads truly aren't for my business or something along those lines. So be it. Okay, I'm not here to sell you on Facebook ads or quite literally anything. I'm just here to help you steward your business better. Hopefully, at least two little grains of salt. Hopefully you can take this with a couple grains of salt and say, you know what? Yeah, I could see that his heart posture truly is to help me become a better entrepreneur. And so if you want to become a better entrepreneur, this is ultimately the mindset is, let's try to stick in a skill long enough until I'm competent. And once I'm competent, I can decide, do I want to step on to step 3, which is confidence, or do I want to quit? You could do either of those at that point. You have the luxury of deciding that once you're at least competent. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to step 3, which is confidence. So the confidence stage number 3, this is the stage that we need to strive for if we ever plan to delegate said skill. Because think about it like this. If you're simply competent with Facebook ads, does it make sense to delegate that skill yet? Well, you might say, sure, yeah, hey, we'd get a better result if we delegated that to someone else who knows it better. Sure, but how would you know, how would you be able to discern if they can truly walk the walk? Whatever they tell you might sound great because it's more than what you know because you're simply competent. You're not confident yet. And so you're going to have a hard time discerning who should you delegate the task to. Or maybe you delegate it to someone and you teach them what you know. However, you know darn good and well if you're not confident yet, if you're not quite literally an expert at it yet, if you haven't truly mastered the skill yet, you're not going to be able to train them very well. And with lack of training and lack of experience, what do you think you're setting them up for? Failure. Okay, you can't cut their learning curve in half if you're simply competent. But confidence, step 3, this is where you can, ironically, confidently delegate it to someone and confidently train them or confidently hire the right vendor and discern whether or not they truly are an expert. So we've covered the 3 core phases from clumsy to competent to confidence. And one of the things that might be going through your head right now is like, yeah, this all sounds fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, I still just would rather hire someone else that knows how to do the skill better than I do from the start. Sure, you could do that, especially even if you have the cash flow. And sure, you would be, I would call it, negligent. And you're essentially hiring someone with lack of discernment, right? You're lacking a certain level of discernment because obviously you don't know what you're doing, and so be it. If that's what you want to do, you can. But keep in mind, who do you think is ultimately going to become the better entrepreneur? Who's going to become the more successful entrepreneur and build a more just quite literally just a successful business? Is it going to be the entrepreneur who's truly become confident, had every necessary skill they need in order to grow any business in any industry? Or is it going to be the entrepreneur who said, you know what, I've got the cash, and so I'm just going to hire the people for the job, and hopefully they're going to be great because I'm not very good. I don't really know those things. What a dumb scenario I'm playing out here. I can't even treat this scenario seriously because of how polar opposite the scenarios are. The person or entrepreneur who commits to becoming confident and becoming a fantastic level of skill, a true expert, might you say, with every core skill they need to grow the business. That entrepreneur is going to have a hedge of protection around their business and around their, quite honestly, their financial fortress. They're going to have this hedge of protection as they move on, whether it's in business number 1 or business number 2 or any business moving forward, because they have skills and no one can take your skills away from you. But you know what people can take away from you is your money. And if you are relying on money to delegate too quickly so someone else can just, get you to move faster, it's going to take me too long to learn Facebook ads, so I'm just going to hire so-and-so to just do it for me. If that's your mindset, be prepared to lose money. And not just short term, but I mean long term, because eventually there will be a day where you will need to learn that skill yourself, where that person quits or you have to fire them because they're not getting great results and you don't even know why they're not getting great results because you still don't know anything about the actual skill yourself. It will be the demise of your business. I don't know how else to say this in a more kind way. And quite honestly, I'm not trying to be kind right now. I'm trying to get through to you. I don't know if there is one person that needs to hear this or 1,000 or 1 million people on the other side of this video right now. But I'm telling you, this can be either the make or break of your entire career as an entrepreneur, is your willingness to simply embrace the clumsy period and even the competent period before you ever become confident. If you are willing to embrace the suck and embrace the learning period and understand it's going to make you move slower, but boy, are you going to go along further. The person that tries to move, this is classic tortoise and hare, okay? Or tortoise and hare. The person that tries to move slow in this example, it's not that you're trying to move slow, it's that you're embracing the slow periods of learning. You're embracing that. The person that embraces that learning period is going to move so much further in life and business as compared to the hare, the one that tries to rush it away. I've got a little bit more energy, or, I've got a little bit more cash. I'm just going to delegate this really quickly. You're going to get lost and you're going to have to retrace your steps. And then you're going to be out of energy, you're going to be out of time, you're going to be out of money, and you're going to have scars. And I do not want that for you. And some people, unfortunately, have to learn the hard way. But boy, if there's one thing I can get to you right now is that it's your choice. Do you want to learn the hard way, or do you just want to get the right result from the beginning? The right result from the beginning is not trying to rush the learning period. It's embracing the learning period and truly sticking through it till the end until you actually have acquired a confident level of skill. So where do we go from here? If you say, you know what, you're right. I do need to actually embrace learning the specific skill that's, keeping you from growing your business. Well, the next step is, let's get real. What is the skill? Is it offer creation? Is it management? Is it, creating a healthy culture? Is it running ads and learning advertising? Is it becoming a better closer? Is it becoming, a better stage presenter and being able to pitch from stage? I don't know what that is for you. Only you do. That's between you, your team, and I would say God as well. And if you truly do not know, if you're a person of faith, honestly, I'd just encourage you to pray about it. I'd say, God, would you reveal to me the skill that's keeping me from stewarding the business that you want me to build? And obviously, if you're not a person of faith, you don't have to make a prayer like that. But I would encourage you to get internally curious. More than likely, you know exactly what skill you need to learn. And so then the next step is, how do you learn it? And how do you learn it as fast as possible, but doing it the right way? Ultimately, there are, 2 steps or 2 directions we can choose. Okay. Direction number 1 is we say, you know what? We're just going to learn this on our own, right? We're going to learn through trial and error. And, we're going to use resources such as YouTube, ChatGPT, Google, maybe the friend across the street. We're going to just continue to figure this out on our own. And that's fine. Once again, going back to like trying to, the tortoise and the hare situation, the person that tries to go alone, they do typically move a little bit faster from the start. But the person that ends up going with someone else, they get to the actual destination faster. It might, be a little bit slower just from the start. But boy, when you go with someone else, you cut your learning curve in half and actually get to the destination with far less pain. So ultimately what I'm getting at here is you can do it on your own. You can go learn whatever that skill is on your own, or you could simply just find a mentor or find a coach that you can pay and they will cut your learning curve in half from the get-go. Now, I don't know who you should hire. That's up to you because I don't know what skill you're trying to learn. Obviously, there's a plethora of skills you will need to learn and figure out how to become great at in business. And fully transparent, very rarely does one mentor or one coach take you from clumsy to high-level top 1% confident. Very rarely does one person help you go from that entire scale in one specific skill set. For example, even let's say marketing, for example. You might hire one coach and they start teaching you some of the fundamentals of marketing. That's fantastic. And there's some great books on that as well. However, does that first coach that's just teaching you, or mentor that's teaching you about the basics of marketing and some human psychology, are they going to be the one that teaches you about, how to apply that to Facebook ads and how to write, incredible copy or, an incredible VSL? Or, the slides for an upcoming webinar or virtual event? Very likely it's not that person. But the person that's going to be able to help you become an incredible copywriter is usually expecting that you have some sort of a base level knowledge, right? You're already at least competent before you become an expert, right? And so just keep that in mind as well, is that oftentimes in order to become confident and become like top 1% expert, or at very least like, let's say top 10%, you really know what you're doing, you're likely going to have to work with multiple different people to cut your learning curve in half and continue to progress further in whatever skill set that is. And that's okay. Obviously, it's up to you on where you're at in your journey. And that's for you to know, not me. However, I do encourage you, if you want to go far, go with a mentor. Find someone that you could pay, what consultant, mentor, coach, whatever you want to call them. Find someone that you could pay to cut your learning curve in half. That will, make sure that you get through those inevitable roadblocks much faster and with way less pain and way less confusion, because they are inevitable regardless, whether you want to go at it on your own or go at it with a mentor. So once again, I would encourage you, if you want to really embrace learning this skill, whatever that skill is for you, go hire someone, go cut your learning curve in half. Don't pay the dumb tax or the dummy tax. I will say, shameless plug to ourselves, if you're trying to learn quite a bit more about how to, I would say, sell from stage, or how to create a low ticket offer that would, attract your ideal customers for your high ticket offer, fully transparent, I do not know a better spot to go than our current ecosystem, our current program, right? When people work with us, we help them. Usually it's coaches or consultants, sometimes agency owners, really anyone selling a multi-$1,000 service. And we will help them go from, honestly, really just kind of relying on word of mouth referrals, maybe throwing some spaghetti at the wall with their organic marketing. And we will teach them how to create a low ticket offer, really a paid virtual event that their ideal customer says, yep, take my money. I would happily pay $7 to attend an event like that. Okay. And then we actually teach you, the tech and the CRM components. How do you actually build the sales page, the technical aspects of it? How do you, set up heat map softwares to be able to track your visitors on your site? How do you optimize your funnel conversion rate? How do you actually write copy to run really effective ads to make sure that you have cold traffic clicks going to your page and actually buying tickets? And then we even teach you how do you make sure those people show up to your event. And then we'll even teach you quite a bit more on how to sell from stage, how to sell in a one-to-many environment. So that way you don't just deliver a few fun presentations and people say, hey, thanks so much for the information. I'm going to go implement this on my own. you actually have to create a great buying environment. There's multiple nuances to that, quite a few actually, and we actually work with all of our clients on how to do that. We've got incredible course curriculum on this. We've got coaching calls. All of our clients have 9 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday Slack access with both myself and my entire team. We got multiple coaches that focus on every core skill you need. We've got a Facebook ads coach. We've got a copywriting coach. We've got an event strategist and a launch strategist. We've got a tech and funnels automation expert. We have it all. So if that's something that you're interested in trying to learn, hey, fully transparent, I do not know a better spot for you to be. So I would encourage you, shameless plug, go to paidevents.com or maybe check out the link in the description for this show, and you'll be able to, check out a little bit more about what we're up to. And I would invite you to go ahead and book a call with either myself or someone from my team. We'd be more than happy to explain what that could look like in your business. But obviously, that's not for everyone. And fully transparent, I'd say about 50% of the calls that we even jump on, most people, I would say they're not even a good fit that we even give them an offer on, because ultimately we just want to prioritize growth and healthy stewardship of business. And we're not for everyone. We ultimately just want you to grow in the right sequence. There's a sequence to everything in life and in business. And so anyway, once again, up to you on whatever skill that you need to learn. But I do encourage you, embrace the suck and understand it's going to take a little while. And you're probably going to fail quite a few times, but embrace it. Because when you're failing, that actually means you're failing forward as long as you stay in the game. Don't quit until you're at very least at competent. But far more importantly, if we know that we need to learn the skill anyway to grow the business, why would we quit in the first place? Anyway, that's about all I have for you today. And before we go, I just want to say, if you're new here, welcome. I technically should have started from the very, very beginning, but welcome to the show. Okay, we have 2 episodes we release every single week, every Tuesday. We have much more tactical, but whether it be mindset or actual tactical, marketing principles, that's all tactical business strategies you can go deploy, and you should be able to steward your business better from it, right? You should be able to go grow your business better from what we talk about on Tuesdays. And Fridays, those are all Faith Forward Fridays, where we actually take biblical principles and scripture directly from the Bible and talk about how can we apply that as leaders, as offer owners, as marketers, as business owners, as entrepreneurs in general, and continue to steward our businesses well in accordance to sound biblical wisdom. So if that sounds like you, I would encourage you, hit that subscribe button, and I cannot wait to see you on our next episode. And if you are not new here, you've been around a time or two, welcome back to the channel as always. I really appreciate your support, and the best way you could support me at this point and support the channel is to continue to love on your community. We are called to love on thy neighbor. And I would encourage you, if you've got a neighbor, you've got a colleague, you've got someone else that needs to hear some of this content, man, would it be a blessing for them in their life if you shared this episode with them and said, hey, Tommy, hey, Johnny, hey, Karen, thought of you today on this specific episode. I really think that this would actually apply for where you're at right now in your business. Give it a listen. Hopefully you find some value out of it. Anyway, that's officially all I have for you today. I cannot wait to see you on the next episode. Peace, love, and blessings. See you guys later.